I am still shocked. I am still stunned, but I am finding the words to talk about this game because it was wild.
Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. Let me tell you, we got a good show for you today because that game we just watched, okay, we need to talk all about it, and I can't wait. And today I will be talking with an amazing person that I personally have been watching for a while now and everything that she does, but women's basketball analyst, Chloe Pavlech. Thank you so much for joining us. Literally, you couldn't have come for a better show. You couldn't have come.
I am floored and I cannot wait to get into it. I am still shocked. I am still stunned, but I am finding the words to talk about this game because it was wild.
Yes. And I also want to give my condolences to Ashley Nicole Moss, who is my, the co-host that is usually on here with me. She is a New York sports fan through and through. And I know she is somewhere sick right now and wishes she could come on and talk about it. Maybe she wouldn't want to talk about this. I don't know. I don't know. But Ashley, we love you. And, before we get into this amazing conversation, I just want to say to everybody listening, thank you. But also make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, tap in with us on every level. You see all the tags here because we want to connect with you. You're going to want to know when we have these shows. We're going to have reaction shows to every single one of these finals games. And, we always have great conversations too. So make sure that you tap in. And if you don't want to watch us, I don't know why you wouldn't want to see us. But if you don't want to watch us, you can also listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure that you tap in with this QR code, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, we're on there. So go ahead and tap in, because let me tell you what we about to talk about right now. We just watched game 1 of the WNBA Finals between the Lynx and the Liberty. I'm still out of breath just from watching it, okay? We were talking about the last game being an instant classic, but no, this one right here was an instant classic. There's so many layers to what we're going to talk about. I mean, listen, Minnesota, let me just start off by saying New York. They did have a great game. They were up by 18 at one point. People just thought, hey, they're going to run away with it. They were looking, kind of like they were the bosses, kind of like handling this game, all of that. Coming into it, they had a lot to say too. So, but then it just took a turn on so many levels. Turn this way, that way. There was a back and forth on many levels. But what are your initial thoughts to this crazy fourth quarter and overtime that we saw?
My first thought is that I cannot believe that this is only game 1.
Woo!
Because I had to look. I said, are we in game 5? Because just the energy, how everything played out, the overtime. I almost thought there was going to be a double overtime. It was the highs, the lows. And I don't even have a team in this fight, I think is the craziest part. But
Right.
every moment, I was just at the tip of my seat. And we just got to say, Courtney Williams is pressure. She brought it. And I know you didn't ask me who my X factor was, but it was her. When I thought that Minnesota was out of it, she revived them. She made them believe that they could do this. And I'm still shocked, floored that Minnesota pulled it out.
I am too. There was a quote that Courtney Williams said to Ari Chambers prior to this game. She said, you can call us an underdog. You can call us any kind of dog you want, but as long as you call us a dog. And she showed us that in every single way. And the entire team did as well, because people were just firing on all cylinders. They did not let the game die. They didn't. I don't care what it was. They willed themselves to a win. And Courtney Williams obviously was a huge part of that. And I just want to say, if you guys don't know about Courtney Williams, it is okay, but learn about her. She has been a dog for years upon years. And she showed us today exactly the player that she's always been. People kind of feel bad about getting into the WNBA. Well, I wouldn't even say they feel bad, but they try to talk like they know about it. And it's like, it's okay if you don't, like you should, let's be clear, but it's okay if you don't, but learn. Like, Courtney Williams has had a stellar career, and tonight just shows you the player that she is, and it's no different. And also, if you miss this game, in the least, go back and watch that fourth quarter and overtime. In the least, I would watch the entire game, but you have to see it because I personally haven't seen a game like that. I can't remember the last time I saw a game like that.
Not at all. And we're talking bar for bar every play. And especially even if whether you know Courtney Williams' story or you don't, but just the fact that she's always been underrated, counted out, and just has proved time and time again that not only she belongs at this level, but she's the best of the best and one of the best in the world. And even you just think about how well she's taken on this floor general, this point guard role, her ability to facilitate. And then on top of that, hit clutch shots, not just take them, but hit them, right? She may have missed the first three, but she wanted it right back, and then it was cash.
Yeah, and that's also the mark of a good player is somebody who's going to keep going after they've missed. You know, they're not going to let that mess with their head. They're like, I know who I am. I know I can make these shots and I'm going to keep shooting. And she definitely was doing that. Now, outside of Courtney Williams, who else stood out to you in this game on both teams? Like, if you had to pick another person for both teams that stood out, who would it be?
100%. I want to start to talk about the New York Liberty because just to understand for them to win this series, for them to win the title, it's all going to come down to Jonquel Jones. JJ is 6'6", and we saw that. She exposed every single one of the Lynx mismatches. They couldn't guard her, and she was the true difference maker. And if New York has any chance, she has to show up and show out every game. And then the other person I want to give a huge shout out to is Leonie Fibich. And also, she's 6'4" and is
Yes.
shooting over 60% from three. Like it's unheard of.
Well, in JJ, when she hasn't played well, they have always lost to the Lynx. In this case, she did. She got 17 points, 10 rebounds. She had a good line, but she was really, if you look at the whole game, if she didn't have a good game, we're not even in this overtime. They're not even in this game at all. So she is essential to their success. So JJ has to have one of these nights every single night. She is instrumental. And Fibich, I mean, she's been instrumental for them the entire year. The way that she has affected the court every single time that she's on it, she's long. She can dang near play at any position. I mean, she's just a phenomenal player that literally makes the difference for the Liberty. And you saw that tonight as well. But man, I just have to say, I mean, I feel my heart goes out to Stewie because I mean, you got to be a little sick about that. And I think it will fuel, we know how Stewie works. It's going to fuel her moving forward. But, you know, you missed that free throw, which was, you know, wild. You missed a key layup. You know, there's just so many things that happened with Stewie that I was like, oh, because, you know, I have no dog in this fight either. I just want to see a great basketball game. I want to see a great series because the league wins when that happens. And they definitely won tonight. The league won tonight because that was an instant classic. But I know that that's gonna weigh on Stewie until that next game, but it's gonna fuel her too. So we'll see how it goes. But wow, I just you know I have no words. It's almost one of those things where we could just sit here in silence because there was so many amazing things that went on. You have to give a shout out to Napheesa Collier too. First player in WNBA history with 20.6 blocks and 3 steals in a playoff game. I mean, she's just showing us why she was Defensive Player of the Year and also one of the top players in the league for the entire season. Wow. I mean, Napheesa, come on now. It was such an amazing game. But look, by no means did anyone have a true handle. You could say that New York did right at the beginning because they were up by 18. You know, they came out the gates with that. But what does each team need to do moving forward in these series to, you know, be successful? Like, how does New York come back from being one down, and how do the Lynx like keep going in this? What needs to happen for both teams?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the Lynx because first and foremost, New York Liberty is the best three-point shooting team in the league, and they have to limit and contest open threes. You think about how they got that lead early, right? It was Fibich hitting wide open threes. It was Sabrina hitting wide open threes, and that just can't happen. Now, the Lynx caught up in the second quarter, right? Because they started to defend. They started to lock in on assignments. but I also want to see the Lynx get Nafisa touches earlier. I felt like that was a bit of a miss for them. And when Fee gets going, it just opens everything up for the Lynx. And then I'd say on the other side for the New York Liberty, it is so tough, like you said, because it was right there. And overall, if we look at the stats, right, it shows that Stewie didn't have a great shooting night. Sabrina didn't have a great shooting night, but it felt like the Liberty were the better team, right? When we talked about how
Mhm.
much they moved the ball, how consistent they were defensively, offensively, it's just Courtney Williams, she stepped up, she showed up, she showed out, and the Lynx figured out a way to get it done. So the one thing I want to see from the Liberty is being able to continue to put pressure on the rim, get downhill, get to the free throw line. But for the Lynx, man, that them winning game one on New York's home court. New York needed this win. And for me, it makes it very, very scary for New York.
Very, very scary. I mean, you heard the crowd that was there tonight. You would think that that would like fuel them, and I think it did in that first quarter. They were
100%.
going, they were hot, they were strong, and the crowd was completely into it. And the crowd never let up. I do want to say that too. It wasn't like their energy went down. And we know that the crowd isn't the only reason, but for you to be at home, to have that crowd, to have all of the noise that was happening, all of that, and then to not win and get that first one, I mean, that is so hard to come back from. I literally, you know, all season long, it seems that the Lynx have had, a one up on the Liberty. We saw how many games they won and lost throughout the season, and I mean the same. It was showing that today.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did. No matter what happened, the Lynx came back, and at the end of the day, they prevailed, and that's got to take a lot of wind out of your sails. How do you think that that is going to either help them or hurt them moving forward?
The Lynx have their number, and I just saw this stat that the Liberty are 0-6 in game ones, right? So I still thought no matter what, I was betting against that. I said New York's got it. This is just looking at how they've played in the series, how Sabrina's been shooting, how Phoebich has been shooting, just how they've been moving the ball as a team. And they are just such a tough team to stop and beat because they do expose every single mismatch. But to your question, even their best punch in the mouth to the Lynx wasn't enough, right? I think next game we're going to see Stewie try to go for 30 or 40, right? We know what she does when she goes back, when she watches the film. She's going to use this as motivation. So I'm not worried about her. Jonquel Jones, like we said earlier, has to play well every game and even has to do more than what she did today. And today she was great. But this Lynx team is that good. And the Lynx, like you said, they have the Liberty's number.
They do. And I also think they've just from the press conferences I've watched and just the things that I've heard, they felt disrespected all year by like, we have had this stellar record. This team has been balling. We have dogs on our team, to what Courtney Williams says. And you still haven't give us our just due. So we're gonna show you. We're in the finals for a reason, and we're gonna show you.
100%. It's so I said this earlier, right? If they treat the Lynx as if they're a bridesmaid, even though it's their wedding, right? So to me, it's they don't get the credit, they don't get the love. They have this rich history just as a franchise and this tradition and this winning, but the spotlight has not been on them at all, right? And so you can tell they're using it to feed them. And same thing with Nafisa Collier. I feel like she's been slighted kind of all season. She is that good. She is in her prime. She is one of the best in the world, and she's showing that night in and night out, especially in these playoffs.
She is. And another stat that I wanted to bring up is the Liberty dominated the O boards. They had 18 of them, 16 more than Minnesota's final record of, and in the finals record is 20, I should say. It's crazy to hear a stat like that and to know that they still lost. It's like, but I do think that that's something that they have to combat moving forward. What do you think that they need to do to make sure that they don't set another record for O boards?
Yeah, it's tough because, like I said earlier, when you constantly switch, as the Liberty is exposing mismatches, you open up opportunities to be able to get into the offensive boards. Now, what I thought the Lynx did a great job of was getting runouts, getting leak outs so that they could have kick aheads and transitions and they got a lot of those easy fast break points because of that. And I think that really started to chip at New York's lead. But the New York Liberty getting that many offensive rebounds, that is a coach's dream. That is everything you say. You know that quote where it's like rebounding wins championships because it does, right? But we see in game one, even the rebounding just wasn't enough.
Man, they had an answer for everything, that's for sure. And Courtney Williams said in her post-game interview that, hey, there was a little bit of luck too, but that's part of the playoffs as well. Like, and I'm not going to argue with her at all. Oh man, I'm just super excited to see the rest of this. I think it goes to game 5 for sure. Because the Liberty aren't just going to lay down. I know that for sure. You can't after a game like this. You have to redeem yourself. They spent all year thinking about what happened to them in the last finals, and they don't want that again. They do not want that again.
They don't. And to your point, this is for sure, right? We felt it tonight. This is going to game 5, right? You're hearing it here. It's going to game 5. But if I had to choose, and it's crazy because if you would have asked me before we got on here who I had for the series, before this even played out, before game 1, I would have told you the Liberty. No questions asked. I would have said, this is the Liberty. They got this. This is their series. It'll go to a game 5, but this is the Liberty series. With the Lynx winning game 1, I fear, I fear that this may go to the Lynx. I fear.
I know. And I can see it too, especially the way that they were looking in this game. That was the thing too. There was no giving up. We were not laying down. We're going to go at you with everything. We are not playing games. We are in the finals and we finna win this. There was no ifs, ands, or buts in their mind, no matter what it was. I mean, and it was the craziest ending, but they did not have any semblance of we're going to lose this. It was we're going to win this every single time. And they coming up into this game, they were saying that New York had an extra day. They were going to be rested. They were going to do all this. And Nafisa said at the end, it doesn't matter. This is the finals. We can be tired. We got to play through it. And the way that she is just saying that and the way that they responded, like, I agree with you. I would have said New York prior to this game too, but how could you not look at this Lynx team and what they just did and not say that they're going to go the distance? Because they did that. They willed themselves to the win in this game.
100%. And we didn't even really get into just overtime, right? When we watched overtime, I think how I expected to New York to come out, once Stewie missed the free throw, I said, oh, the Liberty, they're locked in. The overtime is theirs. However, Minnesota, they played like they've been in the finals every single year in that overtime. And to take it a step further, watching the Liberty, they were rushing shots. They just felt so tight. They felt like every possession was life or death. And in overtime, you know this, 5 minutes is a lot of time, right? Even though a team may get a couple scores, exactly. And, you know, Sandy called a timeout. You still have a lot of time, but they just played tight the entire time until John-Claude Jones hit the 3 in the corner. But the Lynx were in full control on the Liberty's home court.
Definitely. And you saw that. I mean, they stayed, cool the whole time, even when they were down 18. It wasn't even, and this really honestly felt like the final game in the finals to me, not in game 1. I mean, listen, I, as a viewer, am tired just from watching that. So I can't even imagine. But I know going into that locker room, they're not going to just lay down for this one victory. They're going to keep it going. I know that they are.
Can we talk about too how when Courtney Williams came out of that timeout in the 4th quarter, how she was bobbing her head before she hit the 3? And so to me personally, if I'm in the WNBA and I'm playing for the Liberty and I'm on defense, the moment I see her doing that, I immediately am like, no, she can't touch the ball.
Right.
She can't touch the ball with how she's coming out here because she's walking and talking like she's about to hit this game-winning shot. And even though it technically wasn't the game-winning shot, it was the dagger that clinched it for the Lynx momentum.
It was the reason why all of the other stuff was able to happen. It opened that up for sure. So, man, and they should know that by now because she stays bobbing her head.
Always.
Okay.
When you get the and she was like, "Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I'm a bad girl."
She sure. And listen, I was on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I refuse to call it X. I was on that too, looking through the socials, and there were so many people reacting, so many other players. We have a couple of them right now. Like, I mean, look, holy smokes, this game is insane. If you don't want to watch women's sports, you are missing out. I know that's right. And Court, oh my, I'm not gonna say the F part. God, like seriously, what? That is how we all were. We were all like this the whole
100%.
time.
I saw Angel Reese was chiming in. I saw De'Erica Hamby. I saw Azurá Stevens. Everybody, Natasha Cloud, everybody was talking about this game, and everybody was talking about Courtney Williams.
Yes, as they should. As they should. They should be talking about everybody on this Lynx team because they are all full of dogs after that. Okay. But Kathy Engelbert, before this game, she announced that the finals are going to go to the best of 7 moving forward next year, which if this game isn't any indicator of why it should be, I don't know what is. We need more WNBA and always, like
Yes,
bring it on.
100%. And I was gonna say it's that time, right? Even when we talk about this beginning of this finals format and understanding, right? It's a best of 3 series and just really not being able to let things play out. And obviously rivalries are already formed, but just understanding what this series just means for the viewers, the fans to be able to extend those extra games is huge and could change everything when we talk about actual outcomes.
Yeah, and the economic impact for the league as well. I
Huge.
mean, that's huge too. You can't overlook that. So, I mean, listen, it's a win-win on every single level. Long overdue, long overdue. It's been a long time coming in the league that we would have an extended playoffs and finals like that, I guess you should say. So, just finals, but I'm here for it in every way, and we see why. Because that game will go down in history, no doubt. Because it was just on every level. I'm still in shock, and I will be until we see. I'm really excited to see what happens in this next game.
I,
I
I'm
cannot wait to see how they respond.
because now I'm like, so this is what I can expect every game. Is
Right,
this one though? I don't know how much my heart could take it because that was a lot. I'm all for the excitement, but do I want an overtime every
right.
single time? Maybe not. I love a good last second play now, but an overtime every
Yes.
time, I don't know. But I can't wait to see how this series plays out.
I can't wait either. Definitely pull up with your popcorn. You might not be able to eat it though because you're so enthralled in the game, and you might have a full bowl afterwards because it was too much. But thank you so much, Chloe, for joining us. I mean, what a game to break down. I don't even know if we did it justice. Like I said, go watch that game.
Have
Go
to.
watch that game because that's the only thing you really can do. You got to experience it. But please know that with every single game in this finals, we're going to be doing a reaction show. So make sure that you tap in to everything below. And also, subscribe, like, and comment, connect with us on every level so that we can have these conversations with you after every game. And we want you to comment because you are a part of this show just as much as we are. And I know y'all have something to say about this matchup because there's no way. There is no way that you could not have some input after what we just watched. So make sure that you're tapped in, and we'll be right here on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.